Cool. Trish, be sure you get your plate down before you
Yes, before they can, you eating your lunch.
You're gonna be on the camera.
Okay.
You're fine, Carolyn. Fine. You got our regular clothes on.
Thank you for having me back here again. Unfortunately, I do not have any tasty samples like I did last time. However, I do have some handouts with charts on them that I will quote in the speech. So I will just get things started. There are a few things more devastating than having a loved one come to you saying that they want to end their life. You might feel like your love is not enough for them and that it is somehow your fault. You might feel that you have failed to shield them from an influence you knew would cause them depression. However, what they must be feeling is even worse. To be so consumed by dread that you see no path forward is to live in a constant state of hopelessness. You would hope that no one would aid them in a time where they are clearly emotionally unwell. That would have been the popular view decades ago, but not so much anymore. Euthanasia, or doctor-assisted suicide, has become more or less popular in recent years, per one of your handouts. Gallup polls report that 72% of the country supports euthanasia, which is higher than it has been in years, but not the highest it has ever been. The poll gave support or against statistics for gender, age, political affiliation, and ideology, but only one group overwhelmingly rejected the idea of doctor-assisted suicide, which is weekly churchgoers. 60% of weekly churchgoers were against legalizing euthanasia, while the most supportive group for the, quote, doctoral practice are liberals, polling it at 89% supportive of the practice. What should be noted is that the popularity of the idea is progressive among each generation, with 65% of people 65 and older being in favor of it, but 18 to 29-year-olds being 85% in favor. But it's not the demographics of who supports it that should be focused on, but who is against it. Why are the weekly churchgoers the only group who are against it? The answer simply is they're calling from God. The Bible is filled with verses that support the sanctity of life claim that many Christians are ridiculed for. One of your handouts has a list of such verses that support someone receiving a natural death. Christians are no stranger to this arena, with arguments over abortion rights taking place nationwide. But there is one key difference here that many in favor of euthanasia often make. While a fetus may have no choice in its termination, someone who chooses to end their life prematurely is the sole influencer of their decision. While I would personally say that anyone who wishes to use medicinal methods to end their own life is being influenced by darker forces, there's a well-known verse that shows how little choice we have in making decisions about the length of someone's God-given time on his earth. 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, "Or do you not know your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own." This conviction written by Paul lets us know that the gift of life from God is not something for us to decide when the experience ends. God knows the date and time of our passing. There is no need for us to take any steps towards knowledge we are not meant to have. This is an unpopular view, especially because people claim that it is not practiced in the States. But that is not the case in the rest of the West, which can often experience social change before this country does. The final handout shows assisted suicide rates for Belgium, the Netherlands, and Oregon, the only US state that currently allows doctor-assisted suicide. While Oregon's numbers have not seen a drastic increase, Holland has seen its numbers skyrocket, showing that its residents prefer a painless and consensual death rather than a slower natural death that they feel will be more painful. Europe is well known for secularizing their society, something the US is doing as well, but the results are seen across multiple social platforms. There are riots against immigrants, or from immigrants in Scandinavia, in response to religious practices. Laws passed in Iceland and the UK to enshrine the right of a woman to abort a child that will be born with Down syndrome, so that the child does not become a burden to themselves or society, and continuous assaults against social minorities in Southern and Eastern Europe. Despite what people say, most of that does not happen in the States to the level it happens in Europe. and for one reason: the continuous involvement of religious organizations in social life. Little Sisters of the Poor, Salvation Army, and Compassion International are all great religious organizations that aim to help the needy and neglected, just like Christ did when he was on earth. Christ reached out to those who were deemed, whether by society or themselves, as untouchable. In John 8:7, he tells the religious leaders who were looking to trap him in the Old Testament law that whichever one of them was without sin could be the first to throw the stone at a woman accused of adultery. None threw a stone, and he told the woman to go and sin no more. We have been commanded to act with the same authority that Christ showed. For everyone who engages in doctor-assisted suicide, there is a time when they will stand before God and give an account as to why. There is the option of grace extended to them, but only if they know and accept it. Christians must make the grace of Christ known to those who are the most vulnerable. It is all well and good to protest an abortion clinic, but what about when an adult goes to die? Christians should be just as proactive against euthanasia as they are against abortion, because all human life is sacred, whether they are the unborn or the elderly. I will leave you with this. Luke 10:36 and 37, which is the end of the story of the Good Samaritan. Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. What an opportunity Christians have to be a good neighbor to those seeking doctor-assisted suicide, and the positive impact it will have on our society. Thank you.